Well, it is just a beautiful day. It is May 13th. It is really cool, a little breezy. It's about 9:30 a.m. and I would say the temperature is around 65 degrees Fahrenheit. So I just want to show you how my herbs are growing. And since my last walk through the garden, I think it was about 3 weeks ago, so you can kind of see how they've grown over the past 3 weeks or so. Alright, so over here are my nasturtiums. Well, first let me show you this. Okay, these are some beautiful little flowers that my son bought me for Mother's Day, and I popped them in a really old milk bottle. Thought that would be a nice little vase for it. And then some iced tea. This is a really fun time of year to use mint in my sweet iced tea. I love it with a little bit of lemon, so yummy right there. And so let's go ahead and start over here. I'll show you the nasturtiums. Of course, these are the Alaska mix, and they have the variegated leaves, so they're really pretty. They're white and green, and then I'll have some beautiful blooms on there probably in about 2 or 3 weeks. Okay, and so here are my herbs. They're just really coming along great. Mainly what I'd like to share with you is how to plant your herbs in containers. Specifically, I'll just show you how I like to do it. I like to plant my perennials in one dedicated container, and then I'll mix up my annuals together in containers. And that's just because it makes it easier for me to divide my herbs next season if I have just one perennial per container versus, for example, I have right here one thyme in this container. Sometimes people may want to put thyme in with oregano. However, I plant those separately because they will come back for me next year, and then I can divide them. It'll be a lot easier. And also, you'll have a bigger plant, so I can dry my thyme and dry my oregano, so I can enjoy the dried herbs through the winter. Okay, now thyme sometimes will survive the winter, but it's wonderful used dried as well. So, thyme I put in one container. I also grow sage in one container, along with rosemary, because rosemary gets root bound so quickly and requires a lot of water when it's grown in a container. So you have to really keep that watered. As a matter of fact, it's a good idea to keep a wash bin or something underneath it so that it will have a lot of water. This is a plastic saucer that I have, but it's much bigger than the other ones that I use, and it right now is full of water. But rosemary requires that, especially when it gets into July. Okay, tarragon, always have that in one container. Now dill is an annual, so I could mix this up maybe with scallions if I wanted to, cilantro, because they like similar growing conditions. They like a little bit more of the cool weather, like scallions and cilantro do. So that one is a container I actually could mix some things in with it. Okay, mint deserves its own container because it also will get root bound very quickly. And you notice there is one scallion growing in there, but that was just how it happened. I didn't purposely put a scallion in there, but yeah, that one, mint requires a lot of water too, especially in July, and that's usually when I cut back my mint. Scallions, a lot of times I'll grow scallions with perhaps parsley or cilantro, and I'll show you parsley in just a minute, but that's what's called a biennial, so we'll look at that in a minute. I cut back my chives because they bloomed out, and I cut them back about probably 6 inches from the base, and that's only because there was some fresh growth already coming out, and I didn't want to cut off the fresh growth, but I wanted to get rid of those hard stems that are produced by the blossoms. So you really don't want to eat the hard stems. And if you have chives, you know what I'm talking about. I went over that in my chive video. Another tarragon all by itself in that pot because it comes back for me every year. Have basil. Now basil is an annual, and it will die when cold temperatures hit below freezing. So this is a good plant to just mix up with different basils. Maybe I can put 2 or 3 different varieties per container just to add a little interest and makes it pretty to have, you know, some purple or ruffled type of basils together. I wouldn't put this with cilantro because they like completely different growing conditions. Cilantro needs that shade in the summer, and it's really hard to grow cilantro in the summer when it gets real hot, but I've shown you how to do that. If you wanted to, you can. You just need to give cilantro a lot more care in the summer. It loves the fall and the winter and the spring. Another basil with a couple of different kind there. Now parsley, as I mentioned, is a biennial. I grow it as an annual, however, because I grow it in a container. Okay, biennial just means it will produce leaves its first year. The second year is when it bolts and produces its seed, and then it will die. So it takes 2 years to do that. So for that reason, I grow it as an annual, because the following year it's just going to produce seed for me. It depends really on the growing season. Sometimes it might take a year for it to do that. It might not take 18 months or something. But just know that if you're growing this in the ground, you can let it go to seed and it will reseed for you in your ground. Okay, I've done that before too, but for the most part I grow parsley either in my square foot garden or in a container, and I just plant it every year. Okay, here's another annual. These are some basils. And just remember, annuals will go to seed their first year. So for that reason, I like to plant basil about 2 to 3 times in the summer, because I only have about 5.5 months of frost-free weather. So a lot of times my basil will start to go to seed on me about that 3rd month in, and it starts to, the leaves aren't real pretty and thin, they get kind of tough and leathery and that kind of thing, and it starts to produce flowers. And so I like to have fresh leaves, so I will, in about another month, I'll go ahead and plant some more basil by seed. I went over that in another video too, but that's just how I like to grow it because of my growing conditions. This is some oregano that I propagated last spring. I did a video on you for that. I'll try to leave links to all the videos I'm talking about below this video. And then cilantro is coming up real nice. It's about time for me to go ahead and start some more cilantro. Actually, I have already in my green stock. I'll show you that in a minute. Tarragon, and then lavender is just about to bloom. That'll be nice and it'll smell so good. This is where I've planted some scallions. I like to continually plant those about every 2 to 3 weeks. Just plant a few more scallions. Scallions are something that I oftentimes will just toss a few seeds into different containers because they don't take up much room and they grow relatively quick. This is a little lime tree, a kaffir lime tree right there. I always like to put those up here when they're new because they need a little bit more TLC, so I like to keep my eye on them. So I'll put them up here in my container garden and not down where my peppers and lemongrass and my big tree is. Okay, just some apple mint, really pretty and fresh. Always real nice this time of year. Just mint is just so wonderful. And then some more oregano right here, some more chives, garlic chives right here, and I'm trying to seed some basil. These are this is just a hard basil. I'll show you that later if it germinates. I'll show you in another update. And look at these beautiful hydrangeas. Oh, they're just wonderful. Look how beautiful. It gets way too hot up here on this deck for me to leave them out here. But I wanted to show y'all. I had them in a shady area and they've been doing really nice. I've got to put these in the ground or either move them into a real big container. I got those for my birthday, which was May 1st. So they're just beautiful. My mother-in-law gave me those. And then here's the green stalk. The fennel is just taking off over here. I took some more pictures earlier, so I'll show you those in a different lighting so you can see some of these wonderful plants. We have some turnip greens, spinach is doing great, a lot of different types of lettuce. I put another basil right down here. I've been snipping away at that arugula back there. Just love arugula. I really should have planted some more in here. Some cilantro, scallions. So this is watercress, and it's doing real well. I usually keep this inside, but the temperatures have been a little bit cool. We've gotten a lot of rain, so I just stuck it out here. Seems to be doing pretty good. And I'll show y'all my peppers and stuff later. I've been working really, really hard. I haven't had a chance to do much video footage lately because it's that time of year where I'm transitioning to the summer gardens. So I'll try to share some more with you as soon as I can. Anyway, here you go. If you have any questions about anything I went over, just leave them in the comment section below, and I'll be more than happy to help you. All right? Thank y'all so much for watching, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.